Yeah. Let us begin by waving greeting to our friends joining us by Zoom and Zoomies waving at us roomies. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Lynchburg. Here we gather in a spirit of freedom and friendship. Whoever you are, whatever your beliefs, whatever your age, whatever your gender identity, and whomever you love, you are welcome here. As we work together for justice, compassion, and peace, we also acknowledge with humility that our buildings sit on traditional Monacan land. My name is Gary Duvall. I've been a member of UUCL for 53 years, and I'm a member of the Sunday Services Committee. If you are with us for the first time, we are glad you chose to be here this morning to participate in the service for this church community we love. We would be happy to tell you more about our community during virtual social time on Zoom or in person in Drysdale Hall following the service. If you would like to receive our monthly newsletter and Friday email updates, you can fill out one of the yellow cards in the pocket on the back of the seat in front of you and drop it in the offering basket. If you're on Zoom, please fill out the contact form found on the home page of our website at uulynchburg.org, and you've got to scroll down a ways to find it. You may also wish to join our Facebook group. For those of you on Zoom, please note that the order of service is in the chat to the right of your screen if you're using a PC. If you're using a phone, the link is at the bottom of the screen. As we enter our time of worship, we light the flame of our chalice, sharing these words. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our power to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, O Spirit of life. Our opening words this morning were written by Barbara Hamilton Holway. We gather here as individual people, young and old, male and female, temporarily able and disabled, gay, lesbian, bisexual, and straight people. All the colors of the human race, theist, atheist, agnostic, Christian, Buddhist, feminist, humanist. We gather here as a community of people who are more than categories. We gather here, each ministering to the other, meeting one another's strength, encouraging wholeness. We give thanks for this extraordinary blessing, the gathering together of separate, unique individuals as one whole, one body, our church. Here may our minds stretch, our hearts open, our spirits deepen. Here may we acknowledge our brokenness and be ever stirred by love's infinite possibilities. Come, let us worship. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing hymn number 8, Mother Spirit, Father Spirit. Bob?
Well, now it is time for flowering the chalice, which is a tradition that has been taking place in this congregation for, well, since 2007. Actually, I've been doing it for now 35 years. It works best if people come down the side aisles and go back down the middle one, unless it's too awkward to do that, in which case you can just come down the middle aisle. And we will now transform the plain wood of the chalice into what I think will be a beautiful artistic arrangement.
All right, I'd like to invite all the young ones, young at heart, playful of spirit, to come and join us for an Easter egg hunt. And after the hunt, we will be in Drysdale Hall with Easter crafts, and everybody is welcome to join us for that during fellowship time. Thank you.
The ministries of our church are supported by the love, talents, and efforts of our many volunteers and staff, as well as the monetary support of our members and friends. If you found this church to be of value in your life, then I invite you to be generous, as our morning offering is freely given and gratefully received. If you're on Zoom, you can send a check to the church at 818 Court Street, Lynchburg, Virginia, 24504, or you can contribute using Venmo. There's a link and QR code on our homepage at uulynchburg.org. We receive these monetary gifts along with the gifts of your time, work, and creativity, which also sustain our church. As together we give generously to support our congregation, let us also commit ourselves to a unity of spirit to make more manifest a more just, peaceful, and loving world. The rest of will be conducted by our guest speaker, Kirk Ballin.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Always nice to be, I guess I'll call it my second home, so nice to be with you again. Join with me, if you would, in our, thank you, our responsive reading, number 530. So I gather you have the hymnals. Out of the stars. I'll begin. Out of the stars and their flight, out of the dust of eternity, here have we come, stardust and sunlight mingling through time and through space.
Out of the stars have we come, up from time. Out of the stars have we come.
Time out of time, before time, in the vastness of space, earth spun to orbit the sun, earth with the thunder of mountains newborn, the boiling of seas.
Earth warmed by a sun, lit by sunlight. This is our home. Out of the stars have we come.
Mystery hidden in mystery, back through all time, mystery rising from rocks in the storm and the sea.
Out of the stars, rising from rocks and the sea, kindled by sunlight on earth, arose life.
Ponder this thing in your heart, ponder with awe. Out of the sea to the land, out of the shallows came ferns.
Out of the sea to the land, up from darkness to light, rising to walk and to fly, out of the sea trembled life.
Ponder this thing in your heart, life up from sea, eyes to behold, throats to sing, mates to love.
Life from the sea, warmed by sun, washed by rain, life from within, giving birth, rose to love.
This is the wonder of time, this is the marvel of space. Out of the stars swung the earth, life upon earth rose to love.
This is the marvel of life, present to see and to know. Out of your heart cry wonder, sing that we live.
Thank you, Emily. I'm going to start with sharing a couple of short readings with you. The first comes from a column written by Dr. Barton Goldsmith. He's a psychologist, and he occasionally writes a column called Emotional Fitness, which appears in the Roanoke Times. This is the time of year when you can make things happen, both internally and externally. If you want to grow as a human being, the opportunities are endless. All you have to do is take the first step of bringing something new into your life. Second reading comes from a book written by Jeff Brown called Loving It Forward. This is his section on feeling unloved. Yet so many people live their lives feeling unloved, unseen, unrecognized. You may not know who they are, but they are everywhere. When you make an effort to share your love, and you don't always know where it will land, but be sure that it does. Sometimes it lights a torch for others to follow. Sometimes it gives them reason to believe that there is a better life waiting for them after a lifetime of disappointment. Sometimes it builds spirits, and sometimes it actually saves lives. We just have to keep giving the love wherever and whenever we can. You never know how far it will travel. And finally, from Matthew 25, verse 40 in the New Testament, truly I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these my brothers and sisters, you did it to me. As a Unitarian Universalist minister, I have always found Easter a problematic time to preach. Why? Well, for me, it's the mishmash of images, of religious claims, of contorting words to make Easter relevant to our lives. Like many of you, I grew up with Easter being the image of the crucified Christ and claims of him being the risen Lord, thus washing us of our sins. While concurrently we are looking for colored eggs, eating chocolate eggs and Peeps, and talking of the Easter Bunny. And recently I saw a humorous graphic of an icon painting of Christ using his hand to create a shadow image of a bunny, thereby explaining the connection between Christ and the Easter Bunny. For me, it really summed up the absurd melding of what we know as Easter. Easter, of course, has its roots in pagan beliefs that date back thousands of years, although exactly which pagan festival it emerged from is somewhat debated. Its association with fertility is generally accepted, and rabbits, of course, are notorious for their breeding. And one of the central themes of Easter is, of course, rebirth and renewal, which is closely tied to the arrival of spring, marking the end of winter and the beginning of a new season. It is this understanding of Easter that most Unitarian Universalists tend to embrace as we gather at Easter, the idea of rebirth and renewal as it applies to the unfolding of spring, and as we apply it to looking at our individual lives, an opportunity to reestablish our commitment to being good people. But for me, all of this window dressing distracting us from what we are seeing as we look outside the window and see what is really going on in the rest of the world. Whether we actually believe in the resurrection of Jesus and the forgiveness of sins, or we are just happy to celebrate the beauty of the so-called miracle of life as represented by spring, I think we are avoiding seeing the big picture, that which lies outside our window on the world. The resurrection of Christ is an obsession with life after death. If you believe Christ, not Jesus, died for your sins and was resurrected, and your belief in that will assure your place in heaven after you die, I personally see that as living in serious denial. And the simplified embrace of spring as a feel-good celebration of the renewal of life glosses over and obscures the reality of the current threat to which all life is currently being subjected. Although I do concur with the idea of Dr. Goldsmith that psychologically speaking, spring is an opportunity to make things happen, to grow as a human being, to not simply seek comfort in the status quo of the dominant culture, but to be challenged and to foster self-efficacy, the power to focus one's beliefs to affect situations, the power of each of us that we have to face challenges competently and to transform ourselves into healthier human beings, healthier physically, mentally, and spiritually. However, the obsession with life after death simply relinquishes responsibility and accountability for how we live our lives here and now. And the celebration of the miracle of life certainly underscores how amazing it is that we are in this condition we call life. But it is no more a miracle than the Big Bang itself and whatever preceded it. For me, a miracle presumes that something happens that shouldn't be happening. If anything is happening, it is because it is happening. Like anything else that we witnessed in the universe. The universe is everything. Out of the stars have we come, all of it. So life is what is happening. You don't have to call it a miracle. But because life is happening, it doesn't mean life will always be happening, especially if we humans are living in ways that threaten the existence of life. And the only possibility of life surviving our human presence is for us to exercise love. This is the wonder of time. This is the marvel of space. Out of the stars swung the earth. Life upon earth rose to love. Only love will sustain life as we know it. And what does that mean, only life will sustain life as we know it? Well, life needs nourishment and an environment that fosters life to flourish, to participate in this grand scheme of evolution to which life finds itself beholden. Because of our human capacity to be self-aware and manipulative in powerful ways, we humans are significant influencers in determining the ongoing evolution of life. So, are we humans fostering nourishment and sustainable environment for life to flourish and to continue to evolve? Or are we steadily starving and poisoning life while consistently degrading a sustainable environment in which life can flourish? Loving life means to nourish life. Loving life means to foster ecosystems for the sustainability of life. When we look out our window framed by the Easter dressings of the Christian promise of eternal life for the wonders and promises of spring and of rebirth, are we seeing nourishment and sustainability? Or are we seeing life in crisis? Because love is in crisis. I'd say life and love are in crisis. March 31st happened to be annual International Transgender Visibility Day. It is a day founded by a woman named Rachel Crandall Crocker. There had already been a day set aside in November, Transgender Day of Remembrance, spurred by the 1998 brutal murder of Rita Hester, a transgender woman in Boston. And just for your information, I think it was 2023 when 320 trans people and gender diverse people were murdered. Miss Crandall Crocker said, "I wanted a day that we can celebrate the living, and I wanted a day that all over the world we could all be together." So Crandall Crocker, who had lost a marriage when she came out and lost a job as a psychotherapist when she transitioned, decided to create the day herself for celebrating her transition of identity and those of millions of others like her. Thus, March 31st became International Transgender Day of Visibility. Now, many people, particularly we of an older generation, we did not grow up with trying to understand gender issues of identity. But that doesn't mean that there weren't people who privately, quietly, and with great emotional and social pain did not exist. Many have since come out to live their dreams to be true to themselves and to seek to be more fully human despite the hostile, ignorant, confused, and even violent environment in which they found themselves. Many of us here this morning perhaps still struggle to make sense of what gender identity challenges are all about. Yet, whatever your struggle is to accept and to affirm transgender folks and all others who seek to fulfill their sexual and gender identities might be, these are people to be honored by all of us for their courage, and as teachers to all of us of what affirming human life through love is all about. This is what lies outside our window, beyond the window dressing of a false life beyond this life, beyond the window dressing of the false hope of spring and rebirth, without the commitment of love to embrace and thereby nourish and to sustain the diversity of humanity. And for those of you who may not know, the flower communion that we celebrate, that many Unitarian Universalist congregations do at Easter or on Mother's Day, other times of the year, was established by a guy named Norbert Capek, who was a Unitarian minister in Czechoslovakia, who started the flower communion as a way of celebrating human diversity. He subsequently, though, after his wife had gone to the United States to try to raise funds, he was arrested by the Nazis and ultimately died in the concentration camp at Dachau. Once again, I am reminded of James Baldwin's understanding of love as a state of being in the tough and caring and universal sense of quest and daring and growth. Loving life to nourish and sustain life, whether it is the life in a biological sense of life or life in the understanding of what it means to be human in all its manifestations. Such love is not a passive practice. To truly love, we have to be actively challenged to seek out and understand what is needed to nourish and to sustain the biosphere, and to be challenged to cultivate what is needed to genuinely embrace the diversity of our humanity. No matter how uncomfortable it might be to our established comfort zones, truly I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you did it to me. We all have our hierarchies of prejudices. The least of these might be those of different sexual and gender identities. It might be racial, it might be religious, it might be socioeconomic, it might be nationality, it might be educational, it might be the homeless, it might be political affiliations, it might be the disabled, it might be the physically, mentally, and emotionally ill. It might be the addicted. It also might be whether something is non-human or other life forms such as animals, bugs, and microbes and plants. And it might also be the ecological factors of food, water, and air. Which of these, human and otherwise, do we consider to be the least important in our lives? Which do we consider unworthy of our love? Our individual hierarchy of exclusions is important to each of us, for each of us to know. It is what dictates how each of us relates to the larger human community, to the larger biosphere and the regions of the surface, atmosphere, and hydrosphere on the earth, occupied by living organisms, the totality of life, that which sustains us. If we take to heart what might be the actual words of the person Jesus, not Christ, but Jesus, how we are treating the least of these in our hierarchy of prejudices is how we are treating ourselves. A 180-degree turn from how most of us live our lives and how our culture encourages us to serve the comfort and security only of ourselves, minimizing our concern for the least of these as we go down our hierarchical scale of worthiness. Yet so many live their lives feeling unloved, unseen, unrecognized. You may not know who they are, but they are everywhere. And it is our responsibility as Unitarian Universalists to investigate our hierarchy of prejudices, to identify those people in other life forms and the life-supporting environments that we ignore by withholding our love. When you make an effort to share your love, you don't always know where it will land, but be sure that it does. Sometimes it lights a torch for others to follow. Sometimes it gives them reason to believe that there is a better life waiting for them after a lifetime of disappointment. Sometimes it builds spirits, and sometimes it actually saves lives. We just have to keep giving the love wherever and whenever we can. You never know how far it will travel. So let us be honest with ourselves. How are each of us exercising love to foster life? How are each of us helping to open the imprisoning closet doors of others who are forced to live in fear because of their identity or their situations of poverty, of war, or of environmental degradation? How are we, each of us, confronting the threats to the biosphere that threaten the quality and sustainability of life? Let this time we call Easter and the celebration of spring always be a reminder that it is all about life and love. That's all there is. Help open some closet doors. Shall I introduce the next hymn? Let's all stand and join in singing our next hymn, number 20, Be Thou Vision.
Be
As our service draws to a close, we extinguish the flame of our chalice as we say these words together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Let's end our service by waving farewell to our friends on Zoom and Zoomies waving to us roomies.
My final words today, the benediction, is a poem actually by a friend from the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Roanoke. Her name is Erica Joyner. She's a trans person. And this poem is entitled Live Your Dream, but she introduces it with these words. I live far too long in the closet, satisfying myself with cross-dressing in just the safety of my own home. Living my everyday life in male mode just got more and more depressing. I finally dealt with my abject fear and started planning for the day I could walk out my front door dressed as my authentic self. This poem is for anyone and everyone who, for whatever reason, is still in a closet. Live your dream. Keep your eyes on the prize. A worthy phrase to say, it's all within your grasp. Don't wait another day. It's itching to get out of you, waiting for release. Let the floodgates open. Feel your power increase. Shake off inhibitions. Make your awesome self known. Show the world outside how much you have grown. Don't let those nagging voices rent spaces inside your head. Kick those bastards out and take a stand instead. Stand up for your right to speak your mind in peace, to dress the way you want, create your masterpiece. Ignore the narrow minds and all of their attack. Whatever they come up with, girl, we've got your back. Too much this, too much that, too much in their face. Don't let them call the shots. It's all to their disgrace. That closet is your prison. As safe as it might seem, don't let it be your coffin. Come on out and live your dream. Thank you.